Hi everybody, it's Gene Simmons, and you're not. This is Kiss My Collectibles podcast. Did you know that?
Hello everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Kiss My Collectibles. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Herndon, and with me this evening are these two guys. Who are you?
Joe Lalich.
And Nicholas Buckland, stuntman. Is that better? Let's just go with that.
It's better. All right. So, Nicholas Buckland.
Scott Dave.
Scotty Dave. Yeah. So on the episode this week, guys, we are going to do a Kiss Collector Spotlight, which we haven't done, I think, since the Danny Dabbs episode, which was a couple months ago now. So we've got our friend and very active member over at Kiss My Wax, John Hallowell, on, and he's joins us all the way over from the UK, showing us his incredible vinyl collection, and there's a lot of real gems in there. So make sure you stay tuned until later on and check all of that out. But before we get there, let's just do our little plugs as normal. Join us on Facebook in the Kiss My Collectibles and Kiss My Wax groups. And subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Also, Kiss My Collectibles. Ring the bell icon so you get notified when we upload a new episode. And give this video a like while you're over there, if you don't mind. Follow us on Instagram at Kiss My Collectibles and Twitter at KM Collectibles. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to support the show, you can do that for as little as $1 a month over at Patreon. Head to clicktshop.com, click with a K to get swag. You can get the Kiss My Collectibles t-shirts, the Kiss My Wax t-shirts. I think Ed puts it on all kinds of stuff over there, like coffee mugs and socks and all sorts of little things. Plus, he has a ton of other items that you can buy, that like a lot of Eric Carr stuff and a lot of just classic Kiss meaningful things.
It's hard to say, Kiss themed items that don't have that aren't wrapped
like the
around
Mother's
the officially
t-shirt
licensed
that Ace wore, that kind of stuff. A lot of cool stuff,
Yeah.
So check that out. Clicktshop.com, click with a K, and then finally, just want to talk a little bit. Hottest brand in the land book that Joe and Nicholas were
Nicholas and Joe.
Nicholas and Joe and Nicholas. It all depends on if you like the book or not, right?
That's right. If you hate it, it's all Nicholas's fault.
We've talked about it a million times. We've posted all about it in the groups. It's an amazing book that covers all of the purchasable coin items, everything that was ever put out from 73 to 83. If you don't have the cash to buy all of that expensive merchandise, spend $99 and get a book. Hey, look, there's the limited edition foil cover version, signed by Paul, Gene, and now Joe's is signed by Ace Frehley.
Yeah. Not to interrupt the proceedings, but I figured since it was sitting here, since we were, there you go.
Yeah. Now he just needs Peter Criss.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. This is the big problem now.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So,
hopefully he does a horror show.
Did you design it that way? Isn't that exactly what you meant to do when you designed it?
Yes, but what I'm saying is the open hole in this blank spot now is bumming me out. Like, now we've got to get it, like with the two of them, I was all right with it, but now with three, you're like, oh God, now I got to get it complete. And, I think I said in a previous episode I was done chasing signatures, but here we are again.
At least you're not chasing Paul Stanley, which is the toughest one to get these days. But you can get that book, the standard edition of that book, unsigned, because the limited editions are long sold out. $99 over at hottestbrandbook.com. So check that out. There's all our plugs. Thank you. Good night.
And we want to talk a little bit about...
Good. That was a good one. We're done.
Yeah, that's it. That's what we came in under 30 minutes this time.
That's right.
We have been here all day though doing it.
We have
quite literally all day. Yeah. We had to take a smoke break in the middle, and here we are reconvened. Yeah, I got attacked by a dog. Yeah, it was awesome, which many of you were hoping for weekly. Dave Scott being number one.
That cost me $50.
Oh God, if there's any way Joe could be attacked by a dog. That would be
Yeah.
great.
See? The power of prayer.
That's right. Space Invader 5th anniversary special
Yeah, let's
limited
talk about
edition. We
that.
want to talk about it a little bit. So Ace was in Detroit last night. Was able to hook up with the Ace team over there and go hang out a little bit. Got the book signed, but more importantly, we want to quickly show this guy, and we'll put a picture up of it because it's really cool. So here is the foil cover edition that will be in the sets that are going out here shortly. So the Ace signature will look something like that. So
Yep.
cool gatefold here. Not
Yeah,
to
buddy.
ruin surprises, but to just quickly kind of show you what you're in store for, or what's in store for you. And then there is the limited edition on the back. Those will be hand numbered.
Yep.
And then there is the
E1 and Kiss My Wax logos.
There you go. So that's what is on the docket. So Ace is working on signing these now. There's obviously been a little bit of a slowdown in the production on these for a number of different reasons. But so they exist, everybody. These bunch have been signed. There are boxes being signed as we speak. So everything's rolling along. We're getting super close to launching this thing.
Everything is done. The vinyl has been pressed. The jackets are all printed. The jackets are at Ace's place where he lives now. He just got finished with a short tour, I think 3 shows in the Midwest. Just played Detroit last night. Joe was out there with him. And that's where we got those signed. But know that he's signed a couple of boxes of jackets. He's got to finish them. Hope to have those done this week and sent over to our printer and fulfillment for assembling, and then we'll start mailing them out. And I know we originally had thought about we would want to have these out the door by the end of November, beginning of December. Lots of stuff going on with Ace. He's moved bi-coastal, just a lot of different things that we didn't anticipate would be happening, and I'm sure Ace didn't even know would be happening when we first signed on to do the project. So that's just the way it goes. But they'll be shipping out very, very soon. As soon as he gets them shipped up to Connecticut for us. So.
And I would think potentially we would start launching those in waves as well. So
sure.
as they're getting signed and boxes are being sent and they're getting fulfilled, then we'll start doing that stuff. I would think the tracking numbers could be fairly soon. So just keep your eyes peeled, and they're coming. They're out there. They exist. We're super excited. They look great. They smell fantastic. And
they're all signed. They're all in gold. Is that right? The signatures are all in gold, and the signature on the inside is printed.
The signature will be silver. He signed this batch for me last night in gold.
All right.
And then the signature on the inside is part of the foil, and it's a facsimile in the actual printing there. So,
but the finished item is going to be in silver.
We have instructed Ace to sign them in silver.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's what they come out in. Gold looked pretty good though. Gold
I like that. I thought
so, because we tested it when we had a box of the jackets sent over to our friend Ken Gullick at E1. He got those and then split some off and sent some to Joe, sent some to myself, which I should probably have Monday, and sent some to our printer fulfillment as well, so he would have them in advance. I believe he did that. But he did some testing with Sharpies on a jacket or two and sent us photos and said, which color do you like? And we all unanimously agreed that we thought silver would look the best. But now that I see that gold on there, I
am a fan.
I wouldn't be upset.
It matches up. Although, I mean, if you're looking at this in person, like this is all silver, and so whatever, as long as it's probably not black. But even I think black, like in these areas, would be cool. So, but who knows, right? So
hopefully silver.
We're going with silver, and so there you go. That's what it looks like. We're super excited. So there it is. There's your first sneak peek at this thing.
That's very, very pretty.
Does it get fingerprinty pretty easy?
It doesn't really. No. Even my sweaty mitts aren't leaving any fingerprints. So
Good.
Yeah,
I thought you'd had your fingerprints chemically removed.
Oh, wow. That's the story for another day, isn't it?
That's a whole different podcast.
That's right. What's really cool, I don't know if you can tell in this, and I'll see if I can kind of, and you're probably not going to be able to tell, but there are cool little flecks and stars in here that almost look like glitter, that when you sort of turn it to the light, can you see it?
Yes, and
I
was like, what is that? You know, but yeah. So
yeah.
Well, that'll be kind of.
Yeah, there's really cool little bits and pieces like that that show through that make this thing just look great.
It'll be kind of an homage to, and we don't want to give everything away, but the slipcase that this is going in is there will be some surprises with that. So just stand by for that. We've got some pretty cool printing ideas for that slipcase.
Yeah, and
it's printed. It's printed.
Correct.
You know, but there's
we've executed some pretty cool ideas on that thing. Yeah, and maybe there might even be another thing. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows, maybe. Right, Jason?
Yeah, something we didn't know. We'll see.
We don't know. We don't know anything. Real quick, back to the Ace Show. I wanted to reach out to a couple of the podcast listeners and viewers who came up and said hello at the show last night. They were very cool. It was Jason and Matt. So thanks for coming over and spending some time and telling us how much you liked the show. It was cool to hang out and see you guys and know that, hey, this is actually connecting with some people. So thanks for doing that. We appreciate it. We always like getting the feedback and thanks for noticing that we're positive on the show too. It's really what we're trying to do. Keep it fun, keep it positive. Contrary to the evidence of fun and positivity, we've got Dave Scott here tonight, but yeah, we're mostly trying to keep it fun and positive. So
we're trying. So we're trying.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, as Joe says, you know, I wasn't going. It just kind of popped in my head when he was saying that, talking about people coming up to him, talking about how positive, you know, we are on the show and how they appreciate that. I get countless messages through YouTube and through Facebook of people just saying the kindest things about us, and there's no way I can name everybody individually, but you know, I thank every one of them individually whenever they say something. But you know, just thank you to all the people that reach out to us, that enjoy the show and enjoy it because you know we have a certain vibe here. So you know, except for when Dave Scott's on. It's intentional,
and we want to keep it that way. So yeah, let's keep it rolling and keep it fun, right?
That's right.
Right. Dave?
Apart from when I'm here.
Apart from when Dave Scott's here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Into each life, a little rain must fall, you know. So.
And you bring it.
Yeah. Swings and roundabouts.
That was profound.
Anyway.
Yeah. So there you go. Thanks for coming up and sharing that with us. We appreciate it. So very cool.
Absolutely. All right. So what's in the box? Is that next?
I think that's the big question.
What's in the box?
I'm gonna open it.
Oh, what's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
That's the question.
There you go. What do you guys have? Who's going to go first?
I'll go first because I have the least. I showed all of my stuff last week, so
the most with the least.
That's right. So I had some records in my cart over the last 4 or 5 years at my job because I work at a vinyl distributor, and I finally cleared them out and bought them and brought them home. All of them are common things. I did want to show this one because it's the last of the 2014 Germans, but I do have the Millennium Concert that I finally got with the nice German logo there. I haven't opened it up yet, but it's cool on the back in the live shot.
Gosh, I say it every time, and I'm going to sound like a broken record. These guys went the extra mile, and it is so cool. Those details are amazing, and they didn't leave any stone unturned when it came to that stuff, because they could have easily just gone, we're just going to put it on the cover and be done with it.
Right. And it's kind of, like we've said in the past, it's kind of like what they did when they quickly did it in the early 80s. They just changed the logo on the front. Nothing was changed anywhere else on the covers. There were no inserts. Nothing was done. And when you go look at like Dynasty, the KISS logo has been changed on the Dynasty poster.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool, all of the detail that they went into on all the labels.
the little KISS logo on all the credits that has been
Yep.
changed throughout is really cool. So yeah, they did an
Yep.
amazing job. I know I'm
So
a broken record on that, but that's that kind of attention to detail that I just love.
I'm going to pop this open and see if anything special had been done on the inside of this one. If I don't cut my finger.
So
off.
you
Paper
when
cut.
we were talking earlier, you mentioned that the inside of this is different from the American version.
That's a different record.
Ah,
Yeah, that's the
That
Vegas.
we can just wipe it off.
Just edit that out. Yeah. No, we were
This
talking
is-
about the other one that Jason had. Yeah, in the stash. Yeah,
Yeah.
Kiss Rocks
This
Vegas
is what-
has the
this-
Gene X base on the European version.
Yeah, this
in
is
the
the European.
gatefold.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Is there anything? So there's nothing on this one other than the
this is not a gatefold,
lettering.
and it
Right.
has two records inside of one jacket. But so this is why I wanted to open it, because this is what we're talking about here. Look at this label. How cool is that?
It's great. So cool.
I mean, it is incredible, just incredible. So that's what. Let's see. What does it say? Does it have credits down here? I was looking to see if it had any credits that had the logo in it, but it does not. So, but anyway, just the German version. Actually, all of the 2014s from Europe, Germany, and from the U.S. are top notch. So this completes my German collection of the
2014s.
Of the 2014s. That is correct. So, and that's all I've got.
I don't have anything this week. I just showed the Ace book. That was the thing that I was going to show, and I jumped the gun and showed it and rudely interrupted you, Jason. So I've got nothing in the box this week. So Dave Scott, that leaves it up to you. Save the day.
being Nicholas Buckland's stuntman, have the box.
Have the box.
And there are things in the box. Yeah.
So what's in the box?
And
in the box.
This
we
is the
love.
box.
Yeah,
That's
we
the
love it.
things in the box. So, as many of you already know, I'm going to have to leave the country because of the job, the visa, that whole shebang. So
At least that's your story.
Because the
You're sticking
government's
to it.
chasing
Yeah.
you.
because
Yeah,
the sheriff has
Yeah,
finally
the law
caught up.
is on my heels. Yeah.
Yeah. if I leave through this window at any time during the podcast, you guys just keep going. Act like nothing happened.
Those cases behind him are filled with $100 bills.
Yeah, that's right.
That I printed earlier.
That's right.
So I bought when I still was collecting, when I had money, I bought a couple of things that were in the mail, and I figured I was gonna have moved out by the time they arrived, and they didn't. They've arrived in the last couple of weeks, and I think Jason will like them. So the first one is
Joe will not.
there's no way Joe's gonna like this.
I love that. Joe hates
I've got a
everything.
couple
Joe's not going to even like this.
Joe doesn't even have a copy of the Elder in his class. 600 Kiss records back there, and he has no copies of the Elder.
That's right.
How many copies of the Elder do you have? None.
I don't know. Not many. 7?
That's
Okay,
not
I've
bad.
got that in
8?
the box.
Somewhere in there.
So
You've
I've
got
got-
that many in the box.
I've got an Elder from
Yeah.
Colombia. So these I got these first couple of records from Juan Sebastian, I think his name is. I think he's a member of the group, but
I
I'm
think
not
he
sure.
is too.
If he's not, he needs to be.
So,
So he could be
what's
the,
special about the Colombian version?
So the Colombian version doesn't have a gatefold, and
That's
the
great.
back cover of this is in black and white. So that's the one with the really bad photocopied
Oh wow,
black and white cover.
Cool.
that's great. That's a great variant.
Yeah, it's a very clear variant, isn't it?
Yeah,
With its shitty
that's
back.
what I love is clear variants
Yeah,
Yep.
those are
on the
they're so
cover.
good.
I love.
Yeah, those big kind of foreign changes that they made in a lot of those records
Right.
was really cool. Love it.
So the other thing in the box is the Elder.
the same
Ugh.
fucking record. Also,
one
that was
has
Joe's
the
dog growling for a minute.
I thought it was his dog.
Yeah.
It has the gatefold, but can you see the label?
A camel
This
label.
is from Venezuela,
Nice.
and is on the camel.
Very cool.
The third and final thing in the
Oh,
box
here it
is...
comes. Don't do it. Oh, my God.
now, Jason, you wanna take a guess to where it's from?
I was going. Peru.
Because the giveaway there is the sticker. It's
I can't
from,
see over there. Can't see over there.
You can't see that?
Now I can see over there. Yes.
So this is from Sweden, and the big giveaway that this is from Sweden and not from Norway is I have the poster. I have the reversed poster, and the one from Norway.
I've got that same one.
Flip the correct way around.
Who's going to get me a copy of that?
Somewhere here I've got it.
Thomas. No. Thomas got me that, and Thomas in the group would be your guy, because Thomas is a good finder of things. So they were my last bits of official collecting, until whenever it happens again. And I feel I finished on a little bit of a high point there with my my Elder collection.
I agree.
Mine how many filed correctly yet?
Yours is not what?
Filed correctly yet. It's not in. It's down here. It hasn't been graduated up yet.
So was it a recent purchase, or did you just have it out?
Mine?
Yeah.
I think mine was a recent purchase. I think I actually showed it on the show not too long ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because we talked about the poster and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Dave, how many copies of the Elder do you have on vinyl right now?
I think I've got about 11.
11.
Something like that. It's not huge, but
some big fan of the Elder you are.
Yeah, he's a lightweight
fan.
Yeah. I don't even like it. I've got 14
all
copies.
Of them. I would like at some point to be able to get one from every country that it was issued in. I don't want to get into the minutiae of it, but it'd be nice just to have those.
One from every country.
Especially those big foreign differences, like we were talking about, make them really cool and make them very different. And especially like with that poster from Switzerland, that's got to be. It's a tougher one. Sweden. I had Switzerland in my head before when you were showing the Sweden, yeah, and then the other one's from Norway, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, the finding those inserts in them, it's tough. Getting increasingly tougher and tougher as we go along. Yeah,
that was the hard part. That's what took Thomas the time.
What do you think that the next couple? I mean, once you do start collecting again, what are the next couple ones are you going to chase down? Are there particular ones that you're looking for?
That's all I'll focus on. I would love to do that because I know there are guys that collect, just one record. I think it'll be getting more of the Elder, because I mean, it's tough when we're talking to people that don't collect. It's just 3 more of the same fucking record.
Right, of course.
Within our circle, I think I would like that to be there. And I was kind of a little bit inspired by Brett in the group and his
smashes.
His amazing pursuit of every single copy of Smashes, which is it's entertaining to see him do that.
Now, Joe has 26 copies of Rock and Roll Over, right? Right, Joe?
I think I'm actually into the 30s now.
Into the 30s now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his thing. He collects Rock and Roll Over.
And Look It Up and Creatures of the Night. I mean, basically what I did, I picked a couple of records just because it's so, it's such an immense undertaking, right, to try and get all these records, and none of us will ever have them. There will always be new variants coming up. However, it felt to me like, aside from getting some of those elite pieces, if I could ever get my hands on them, I figured, okay, a way to start digesting this thing. I knew that some of these records just had so many releases, like Alive and Dynasty. There were just so many of them. They just felt like you could never even get your hands wrapped around that many copies of those records. So it felt like Rock and Roll Over and Lick It Up and Creatures were more kind of consumable and things that I could go, okay, I can start kind of knocking these out. So anyway,
it actually be able to complete the known copies of it. Yeah, because like Marco, I think Marco does the Alive too, right? I think we've talked about it. He's been on the show before, and he's got to be up into the 120s or 130s.
Yeah, well over 100
or more
around
of copies of Alive too, because that was the pinnacle, man, and those things were pressed everywhere.
Yeah,
and there are so many variants of them. And Julian Gill was doing Kiss Alive for a long time. I think he was up in the 80s or something like that of Alive. It's unbelievable.
And
that's why I thought
there are tons of them. So
if I could just get one from every country, not even all the variations from those countries, that would still be 30, 40 copies of it at least.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, that's me. I'm not the minutia guy. I don't want to have every single variant. It's got to be, something significant for me. So.
Well, and it also feels like too the variants could kind of be nonstop, right? We're always finding new things. People are finding them online and bringing them up all the time in the groups, and you just feel like, man, it's almost like, if Nicholas found another 20 collectibles that he'd never seen before, and then another 5 came out, and then another 2, and it's like, gosh, who knows what variations still exist out there with plant numbers and CRC. I mean, who knows what's out there with all these things? They just keep percolating up all the time. So it's kind of hard to go, okay, I can never be a completist anyway. So I guess, to bolster your point, Dave, it's like focus on a couple of things, kind of go, okay, this is it. It allows you, I guess, to get your head wrapped around what am I trying to do here, as a collector.
Yeah, no, for me, that's what keeps the record collecting. That is enough to satisfy my collection urges.
Yeah.
We only thought there was one copy of the Australian Astor. For most of those records was a lot of that until William started to put the book together. And William's got this book, and there are variations on variations on variations of the Australian stuff, which was not a huge market.
Right.
So it just begs the question, what else is out there?
Yeah, so I'm just I'll stay broad. If I can tick off one for each country, then that'd be enough for me.
Yeah.
And I've picked the album that's the least likely to get fought over, so I can probably weasel them out of people.
I love The Elder.
So speaking of, Jason, you love everything.
I know.
Yeah.
I do.
No. But The Elder.
That's why the damn podcast is positive, because I love everything. God damn it.
I'm positive I don't like The Elder.
I love.
I actually don't hate it. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I actually kind of like it. It's all right. It's kind of it's larky. It's got some cool songs on it. So I'm not a hater, and I know that there are some people out there.
The more people ask me, the more my stance solidifies as to why I like it and what I think. And I was talking to William the other day, and I said it would have been amazing if KISS were to do Symphony No. 2 in Australia, because The Elder was so popular in Australia. You could never tour that record because of the way it was orchestrated. But I could imagine them playing it one night with an orchestra, and that being amazing. Like they could do that blended with Destroyer, and that would be an amazing night with an orchestra.
It'd be an amazing show that Joe would never go to.
Yeah, for all 18 people who would go to that would be amazing.
Those 18 people would love it.
That's right. But by the way, your stance of I like The Elder more and more because people keep asking me and they don't like it. That's very mature of you, Dave. That's a very good reason.
No, it's making me think about it. It's making me think about what would have made it more palatable to the fans at the time. And I've oscillated between maybe if it was a double album, which had some more of their other sex-related songs, which all albums seem to have been up to that point. It was all about getting the girl, losing the girl, getting another girl, getting 2 girls. And then they did The Elder. And that was just none of that was on there at all. Maybe if some of those things had been there. And then I thought, because you pointed out before, they're not Pink Floyd. And they never were Pink Floyd. So that album was never going to be a Pink Floyd type album. But I could see where they could have gone, well, what if they just took 3 of those songs, the orchestrated ones, and just did them almost the way that, say, a band like Rush might do them, where it's one song broken into 3 parts, it tells a story, and then the flip side of the album could have been a regular album. So I think there's ways that they could have done it differently that may have made it more palatable. They didn't, but that's, like I said, it's my favorite. There's a lot I like about it, but I do realize it's disjointed, and the more people ask me, the more I have to think about it. That's all. I'm not looking to argue, oddly enough, but I will.
That's why we love you. That's why you bring the darkness.
Right.
Bring the positivity, Dave. I'm
right, Dave.
He'll
anyway, so what's in the box? The Elder's in the box. And the box
Elder's
is on
in the box.
And
All right.
Jacoby.
Yeah.
Moving forward, off of the Elder, and let's throw it to our correspondent down in Australia, Mr. Nicholas Buckland, with a weather report.
Hey guys, here I am in the Kiss room. A bit of a weird one this week. It looks like we have to evacuate the house yet again. So what do you do with your Kiss collection when there's just too much stuff to actually save when a fire's sort of coming? So what I've been doing is just sort of putting probably the most expensive and the stuff that means the most to me, some of which you saw in the last episode, the most sentimental items episode, but I'm starting to put a lot of these into this singular tub. So basically, if the fire comes towards us in the next night or so, I've kind of got this singular tub with, you can see one of my favorites in there, which will be coming with me. Unfortunately, it'll probably mean losing all the rest of the stuff that's in the Kiss room. A little bit of a shame if that happens, but I'm sort of, crossing everything that, we'll get out of here with our lives, but we don't, obviously don't want to lose our houses, or no one up here does, or all the stuff that I've collected for a while. It's just the kind of stuff that can't be replaced. Even if you went on eBay, you probably couldn't find a lot of the stuff. It may take you 10 years to find again anyway. So I'm definitely not thinking that's definitely happening, but we're probably looking like we're going to go soon. So I'm here kind of late at night, sort of just making sure that everything's ready to go. So if we get the alert from the fire people, I can just sort of run in and quickly grab one box and put in the car. So it's almost like saying, which one of your children do you take? Well, obviously, when you talk about your kids, you take them both. But when you're talking about an entire room full of stuff, you've just got to be very cut and dry about what it is. And some of this is even financial. I always say, if it's going to go, I'll take the most rarest stuff, because it'll be the stuff which, it'd just be too hard to replace anyway. So not trying to be too much of a downer on this one, but it's like a little spot just explaining to what we're going through down here in Australia. And as I'm talking, I sort of put up some of the scenes that are going around and close to the mountains at this moment, very similar to the California fires as well. So yeah, I just maybe by the time this comes out, it'll all have blown over, the wind will have changed direction, or we'll get a bit of rain. But yeah, so fingers crossed that it's all okay. But I better check out now, because I've got actual bags and other stuff to pack anyway, just in case we may need to make an emergency escape. Nicholas out from the Kiss room, and hopefully I'll talk to you on the other side. Bye.
So thanks to Nicholas for that report. And on a serious note, we want to please be safe to everyone out there, and we want our friend to be safe. So he's a little lighthearted about some things, but this is a serious situation, what's going on in Australia right now. So please, be safe, everyone out there.
And from Nicholas, thanks to our Canadian friends, apparently they're sending some firefighters during the Christmas holidays out there who are specialists on these types of fires to help try and control and manage this thing. So,
well, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, thank to our Canadian neighbors for doing that as well.
That's cool.
Yeah,
cool. All right, so I guess up next, John Hallowell, right?
Yeah, he doesn't have
Joins
anything to
us
show,
from the
so
UK?
just turn off the show now.
What do we do? Do we all just
Yeah.
intro for a little bit?
Yeah, we all have to get narrow.
Yeah,
right.
Cool.
Hello.
Yeah.
No,
All right, cool.
just
So John Hallowell, let's see it.
Let's see it. All right, everyone, let's welcome John Hallowell all the way over the pond in the UK somewhere. I don't know how much more specific you want to be. So
I was
20
wondering
miles south of Manchester.
Yeah. I was wondering what the tilt of the
specific?
Earth was, and it's because of all of John's vinyl in his room. It's like you can feel like the slight tilt. That's why we're leaning toward the UK. Yeah.
Strange gravitational pull.
That's right.
That's right. So John is joining us for another and a long overdue collector spotlight. We haven't done one of these in a very long time, and but we wanted to try to kind of end the year. Sorry, can't even talk. Try to end the year with some cool vinyl talk, And John has been posting rabidly in Kiss My Wax with all of his new acquisitions and stuff, and he's got a lot of killer stuff to show everybody and talk about. But before we get into all that, John, tell us about when you got into Kiss, how it happened, all of the good old stories.
Yeah, the backstory. So, I was born in 1971. So I think my first memory of Kiss, I would have been about 7, 8. So that would make it, 77, 78. And I guess, like everyone, when you're that age and you sort of see Gene Simmons and you see Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley, and you just think, fuck me, this is incredible. These guys are superheroes. It's unbelievable. And you almost kind of question, is it real? Did I see what I think I saw? So from that point on,
where did you see them? How did you see them? I'm curious because, and I do get asked this from the American collectors, American kids grew up with them, whereas in Manchester we absolutely didn't. So what was your exposure? What did you see first?
Of all the things, do you remember So It Goes? I don't know if you were still in the UK when that was on.
No.
Oh, I do.
It was a repeat of So It Goes with Tony Wilson.
Did you play football at school? I mean, what can I say? Were you nasty when you were a kid?
Nasty in my dreams, that's about it.
Ask me.
Private jokes.
If you want to know if Gene was nasty. All right. We'll move over here. We'll ask Love. Was Gene... All right?
Love.
Was Gene nasty as a kid?
Well, I didn't know Gene when Gene was a kid, but Peter knew Gene when he was a kid. Peter used to chase Gene around the block.
Well, I mean, okay, you're Love, right? We kind of get that, right?
Well,
I mean, are you acting yourself? Are you full of love in real life?
Well, I'm full of passion. I don't know about love.
So Granada TV special, and it was a review of their first concert at I think it was the Free Trade Hall in Manchester was their first gig in the UK.
That was in 75, 76.
Correct.
Yeah, it was. I've seen repro posters. I can't remember who was a sport, but yeah. So he went backstage with them and he did all the kind of interviewing and all that jazz, and it just blew my mind. And then probably, I don't know, a month or two after that, I was at one of my friend's houses, and his dad was into rock, and he had a copy of Alive 2. And you know yourself, when you look at the cover of Alive 2, it just looks like a movie. It's phenomenal, and that was kind of, I guess, my first real intro to. I didn't see that. It's real. It's really real. So Alive 2 has kind of been that thing that's taken me through, I guess, from there. And then I sort of listened to stuff like Dynasty. I think the first album I owned or was given was a copy of The Elder on cassette, which was a bit of a weird experience.
Relax
it wasn't
yourself,
what I
Dave.
expected.
Relax. Dave heard the album. He's like all fanboying out over there. Yeah.
So yeah, I got this cassette of The Elder, and that was kind of a bit of a weird experience, as you can imagine. I didn't quite know what to make of that. And then I'd say it would be a year after that I got, and I'm gonna go straight to vinyl, because this is actually the one that I bought myself in 1982.
Killers.
I bought that in Macclesfield, and this one album has been with me since then, through divorces, through moving, through university, everything. That album's kind of been the constant.
You didn't want to stick any Pac-Man stickers on it?
No, I was
inside joke.
I was
key.
No.
For sale.
This one's been with me for that long, and I think it was, you look at it and you look at the tracks on it, and I guess still to this day, Cold Gin's probably my favourite Kiss track, which is on this. And then, I guess, controversially, Down on Your Knees as well. Stuff like that was brilliant, and it only ever appeared on that album.
Right.
And that was kind of how, and that kept me going through the hair metal phase, and I was kind of went through my teens with like Asylum, Crazy Nights. I've got a huge soft spot for, even though it's not possibly the best album in the world. And then I guess like everyone, you kind of life takes over. I went to university. I kind of fell off the wagon, I guess, with Kiss from maybe 1990 through to sort of the late 90s. So I had about 10 years off and then kind of reconnected, saw one of the reunion gigs, thought, yeah, it was okay, but not really amazing. And then
you missed that whole Revenge period then.
Yes.
At the time.
So I missed the kind of, I've obviously got a few copies of it now, and you listen to it and think, actually, that's pretty good. Like compared, and musically pretty good compared to a lot of the stuff that kind of surrounded it, I think. So
did they tour UK around that time of Revenge? Or
did they tour Revenge? I can't remember. Again, I think I'd kind of moved away from it, so
right, okay.
I think they did. And then I was aware
I think they actually took the Hot in the Shade stage over there.
Go on.
Oh, apparently that's what they did in Australia as well. So I remember seeing them, but I don't remember it being Revenge branded. So that's what they did with Nick for this.
So they didn't actually tour the album.
No, they toured.
I think they toured the album, but not the stage.
Yeah, I think in Australia the stage was the Animalized stage. I think they took the Animalized stage over to Japan and Australia.
I see.
I think that's the truth. I'll look back at the bootlegs. So.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Check the pictures.
Is that where you insert some images of stages now?
I can do that, yeah.
And we can get that sort of solved. So yeah, and then I guess I kind of, again, children get in the way, marriage gets in the way, divorce gets in the way, had to liquidate quite a lot of stuff. And then I think it's probably about a year and a half ago, I sort of reconnected with it all, and I bought a copy of the 2014 copy of the debut album. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh yeah, this is pretty good. I remember everything that I kind of remembered. It all came back like muscle memory. And I kind of thought, had a look around and saw that Kissteria had been produced. I thought, oh, I can't afford that right now. Why don't I try and make my own one up? Which was probably a bit stupid at the time, but I then went through the process and I literally bought every single album in Kissteria almost one at a time. So I should have probably bought it up front, but
I did this. I did the same though. I get that. You're putting your feet back in the water.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a really interesting journey because I met kind of people. I think it was Richard Delfino who introduced me to the KISSmas Wax group.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of opened it up, like, ridiculously, as you know. You kind of, from there, you just go, well, where do I go now? So I kind of nailed the Kissteria, got hold of Greatest Kiss, thought, yeah, I've nailed it, don't need to do any more. Then I discovered Japanese vinyl.
Oh boy, that's the rabbit hole right there, man.
Yeah, yeah, and you're just like, oh, what am I going to do? So I got the first one. The sound, I don't know if you ever played them side by side. I don't know if it's the virgin vinyl or what it is, but the Japanese versions just sound richer and better. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if there's a production thing that kind of causes that. But then they also just. I don't know if people are trained in Japan to look after their vinyl, because you kind of get a 30-year-old piece of
it's a cultural
it's a cultural thing. You know, we've talked about it a lot in the past, and you know, had guests on, you know, from Japan, and it's really just they respect, you know, their belongings and, you know, their families and everything. It's just really a cultural thing, and that's why all of that stuff stays so mint, you know?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. You know, you pick up a 30, 40-year-old album, and it's like came off the press yesterday.
Yeah.
And kind of at the same time, then started chatting to people, going to a lot more record fairs than I had done previously, and that was really interesting. I think it's a real struggle in the UK compared to, and some of the finds that I hear about in the US. Dave and his flea markets. Other guys just picking them up and out in the wild. It's really, really hard in the UK to find anything.
Yeah.
Particularly legitimate stuff. I'm trying to find. I think the thing that kind of got me chatting to Dave actually was this.
An unfortunate.
Which is a bit of a random one.
Yes.
Right. The bootleg that came out.
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's not the 300 one from the Expo.
Okay. Which one is that?
I don't know what it is, but it's not that one. So it's kind of unique, and it's on transparent vinyl as well. But it looks lathe cut, but it's a good deep pressing, and it's quite loud.
Yeah. So can we talk about what that is for our audio only listeners?
Okay, so that's a copy of the original Wicked Lester album, a counterfeit, I should say, of the original Wicked Lester album, as it was never released. But it's got some crazy ass stuff on it. It's got, I'm sure you've heard it, the version of She with the panpipes and flute.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Many times.
And I don't think you've ever heard She until you've heard it with a flute.
No, you haven't.
But the other stuff in there is great. The tracks are really, really good. It's kind of got...
Yeah, I like it. I
find this really interesting, and it's kind of like a bit like a good... It's a cool garage band thing, and it's a damn sight better than that.
That is not very good.
You can see that one.
That's the Chelsea record.
That's Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah, when you hold up stuff, try to identify them, because we do have people that listen. So
sorry,
no, it's all good. Yeah.
Okay, will do. So that's the kind of the Chelsea album that Peter Criss did before joining Kiss, and it's an interesting journey into something. But,
yeah. So the Wicked
you can kind of.
I was going to say the Wicked Lester stuff is interesting. I know we've had discussions about it when we did an episode on, what things we would like to see the band to do and release. And, Joe, was not a fan. And I think, Andrew was still on at the time, maybe. And, Andrew is not a fan. Those guys are not a fan of the Wicked Lester record. But I think it's a pivotal piece that everyone, needs to have, whether you listen to it, enjoy it or not, and there are, as a bootleg collector, there is great audio. What a lot of people don't realize is back when they did the box set in 2001, and they remastered, because Kiss owns the Wicked Lester album, and they remastered those tracks and put it on the box set. They didn't just remaster those tracks; they remastered the whole record, and that circulates in perfect mint condition quality, and I'm quite surprised that it hasn't been bootlegged and pressed on vinyl yet. But because what most of these are that we have are alternate takes, demos, pre-production stuff. Because the record was recorded a couple of different times, and but that final version of those mixes and masters from 2001, the whole record exists like that. And but yeah, I would love to see that released for everyone to be able to buy.
Are you thinking the reason it wouldn't have been released is royalties? A lot of those songs they didn't actually write.
Correct. I think royalties has a lot to do with it, and I don't think in their mind there's enough money involved to be recouped.
Yeah, it's probably a lot less about royalties and more about content, I would assume, at this point.
And I think content is the other reason.
They just don't want that out there,
Yeah.
And also,
I heard that story as well. Didn't they kind of buy it off Epic in like the late 70s?
Sorry, what was that, Jeff? John?
Sorry, I heard that they bought it. They bought the content off the guys off Epic in the late 70s or something.
Yes, they bought the rights from Epic. They bought it back to to stop them from actually releasing it, because they were going to release it and they didn't want it out
to bury
there.
it, basically.
They wanted to bury it, right? So I think Joe has a good point that outside of royalties, they probably really just don't want a lot of that stuff publicly released. They know that it's all the diehards have heard it and everything,
and the royalties would have to be minimal. Even if they put it out today, even as a special edition, how many records would sell, and what would the portion of the cut be, and all that sort of thing.
That's what I was thinking. That you've maybe got once those 500 collectors have got their copies, there's probably not a lot. You're going to be sitting on a lot of dead stock.
Even if it's 5,000, I mean, you're paying somebody pennies on the 5,000 records or whatever it is. It's
right.
I tend to believe that it's probably not even on their radar. I would think, number one, nobody's busting down their door to have that record come out. And then the second, they probably just like, why add that to the legacy at this point? It might make for an interesting piece, like if they ever did a historical look back through the band or something. And I don't deny it for its significance and in its interests and sort of curiosity. But beyond that, not probably all that desirable at large.
Right. So John, you've dove down the rabbit hole with Japanese vinyl, a year and a half or a year ago or something like that. And so take us through that journey a little bit.
And now he has no money.
So that
now you
absolutely no money. I am broke.
That's actually a storage unit he lives in right there. The bunk is just.
My partner, she banned me from taking the credit card out and using it without her being there. Essentially,
he needs adult supervision.
Yeah, exactly. So I got, after I realised that I needed some help, I got Alan. I've forgotten his surnames, unfortunately, but the illustrated guide to Kiss in Japan, 1975 to 2015.
Yep, Alan Belisha.
I don't know if you guys would be familiar with this book. It's phenomenal as a resource for helping you kind of battle through the minutiae.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with the red OBIs, which are kind of the base level ones, which they released, and I worked my way through right the way up to Crazy Nights on first issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, right, that's it, I've done that now. And then someone introduced me to yellow OBIs. And it's like, oh man, that's another 14 to collect. And you go through that. And then I got to the picture discs. So you're all familiar, you've all kind of seen or got the solo album picture discs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just getting this in the right order. So I'm just holding up them now. These are, without doubt, probably one of the most beautiful things in the Kiss world.
Yep.
So I've got Paul Stanley, Mr. Simmons, Mr. Fraley. And I got those relatively quickly. And I think everyone does this. And you know what's coming, don't you? Peter Criss. And I don't know if you guys share my opinion of this, but I find everything that I look for, he's the last one to come along. And is it because they didn't make many, they didn't sell many? I don't know, but oh man. So eventually this guy turned up, which is the Peter Criss one.
Right.
And I think that's when I realised I had a problem.
That's when you realised.
When I look back and think, well, that's like... That's when I realised.
I got news for you. It started way before that, man.
Yeah.
Jake, haven't you mentioned before that there are a bunch of counterfeit of those Japanese picture discs?
Oh, yes. There's a ton
of
counterfeits of them.
Yeah.
And, so, and when you're buying these, how do you tell? When you buy these online?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. If they have the covers,
how do you spot them?
The back covers will all have red text. So it makes the Gene different, but the Peter will have red text on the back, and the Paul will have red text on the back.
So you can see here, the back is green.
Right. So
and then the big giveaway is, and I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me take out the sleeve.
Yeah, take it out of that sleeve.
The jazz rack symbol.
Correct.
Right, let's see if you can see it. Can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
So the production company down there, the jazz rack, will usually be cut in half. If it's not in full print, you have a counterfeit for sure. And the colors are a little different too. The colors are not as vibrant on them. They're
a little off. Yeah, I don't think they're quite as vibrant.
Yeah, they're not as vibrant. I had a counterfeit set of them before I got the official releases of them, and so. John,
it's annoying because
I'm sure it's a great question. Yep.
John, did you find when you were collecting the yellow Obies, did you find that Peter Criss was also difficult to find? Did you have any issues finding?
One. He was the last one.
Yeah.
An absolute pain in the ass to get hold of.
Yeah, it's tough too.
And eventually I got hold. Yeah. And, across every single iteration, whether it's the red Obies, the yellow Obies, the crazy collection, the singles, every single time he was either second to last or last. And an absolute nightmare. And it's interesting at the moment, I'm seeing a lot of the Peter Criss picture discs pop up on Yahoo auction, on eBay as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I think people are overpricing it slightly now.
Yeah, I paid. It was the last one that I got of the solo picture discs as well, and it just so happens that one guy needed some money and he posted it in wax about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was late at night and I was the first one to see it, and it was before we were approving posts, and I was the last one to see. I was the first one to see it. It popped up, and he wanted $400 for it, and I was like, I'll take it, because you just they don't fucking pop up. They just don't come up. So I thought $400 was a steal, but but people are thinking they can make crazy money on it, and if you're desperate and that's the piece you need in your collection to complete it, people will pay crazy money for it.
You'll fall into that hole.
Yeah, you'll fall into that hole.
Yeah.
And another interesting thing Another interesting thing that you brought up, John, was you don't know if this is because they produce less of Peter, or if why it is that Peter Criss items usually are less. I can tell you for certain, documents that I've read and other discussions with other major collectors around the world, that the Peter Criss merchandise in the 70s was definitely produced in half the numbers of Gene and Ace, at least. And that's another reason why Paul Stanley stuff. So, like, if you're out there collecting the signature necklaces from the solo albums, which are very expensive and very difficult to find, and oddly enough about that, you do see a lot of those Peter Crisses out there, and they're for cheap. That's because there was a warehouse find on those, not several years ago. But they produced the Gene and Ace because they were the two most popular members, in almost double the amounts that they produced Paul and Peter. And so you're going to have a more difficult time locating Peter Criss merchandise. I don't know if that's the case with Japanese vinyl. In my opinion, it probably is. They probably did produce it in less numbers.
It feels that. It really does. It really does feel like that when you're trying to find that final piece.
Yeah. I mean, there's really nothing else that makes any good sense about it because, it's, relatively speaking, it's not a large country. And, if they press them in the same numbers, there's no reason why. I mean, it's not like everybody's hanging on to their Peter Criss stuff and selling their Paul, Peter, and Ace stuff. There has to be a reason.
I would have thought that would have been the first one out the door.
Right. That's the point. So,
and it's too common a problem to have to there not be some backing to the evidence that we're all sort of seeing. Right? There's got to be something to it because we all run into the same thing, and it's been that way for years. So there's got to be something to it. So I would assume the assumption stands. So.
Well, they either produced less or people threw away
more.
The Peter Criss cards.
Or bought less than they got scrapped.
That's another.
There's a reason. I guess that could be another reason. Yeah.
Well, and ironically, John, when you started off the whole discussion, you said when you see the cover to Alive 2 and you see Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley and Paul Stanley, you're like, holy shit! And you didn't even mention Peter Criss. So you could see people
mention Peter Criss. Yeah.
You could see people taking orders back in the 70s. Let's see, we want 1 million Gene, we want 1 million Ace, we want 500,000. Okay, let's order it. And they're like, what about Peter? Oh yeah, just throw in 10,000.
Throw a couple of those.
Who? Yeah.
Peter Criss was the chase.
So it's there on the order, isn't it? At the front, you can just see.
There you go. Yeah.
So he's over here at the end.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It was self-selecting all that time.
Right.
And then I don't know if you guys have tried collecting the Crazy Collection. That is brutal. That's the kind of the 1987 re-releases.
Yeah.
From right up to, I think it's Animalized, isn't it? And then the 4 doubles. That's horrendous. That's really, really hard to get hold of everything. Peter Criss, again, difficult. Right.
Yeah, that was the end of vinyl in Japan, basically, and the end of vinyl in Japan came before the end of vinyl in the United States. So, it's just like anything. It's just like chasing these early 90s releases of vinyl of 80s metal bands, finding Slaughter Stick It To You or Warrant Cherry Pie or anything like that. Finding that stuff in the U.S. because it was pressed in such small quantities is damn near impossible. So, and that's the situation.
I remember the exact problem getting hold of Live Era by Guns N' Roses on vinyl. The 4-disc one. That was horrendous because it's such a low pressing for mid-90s. So after, what was it? Crazy Collection, I was having real problems, and then I had a really smart idea and thought, I'll collect the singles. That'll be easy.
Oh.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. But it froze up, so I've managed to get most of them. There are a couple that I'm missing. There are some really, really hard to find promotional ones of the solo albums.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know them. They're the ones there's like Ace one side, Gene the other, Peter one side, Paul the other. And I think there's one up on eBay at the moment for like £700, something like that. It's crazy money. But it does throw up, and I'm just holding up. This is the Technics Hi-Fi EP. I don't know if you've ever played it.
No, I've never played it. I don't own it either, but I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I think my description when I put it on the group was batshit crazy selection, and it is. It's amazing. It's Stevie Wonder, Diana Ross, Kiss, a ton of Japanese orchestral stuff. It's just madness. But again, I suppose that's the cross that collectors bear, isn't it? That you've got to kind of have everything in every which way from Sunday.
So when you're buying something like that, I'm assuming here that you've also looked at the promo copies of those original albums that you bought as well.
I've not got to. I do look at them, but again, they seem to hold a premium that's really terrifying in terms of justifying actually going, I'm going to spend the money on that.
Right.
Yeah.
So they come along and you kind of go, if it's a good deal, I think you'll sort of throw it in. So Killers, which was, close to my heart, as I've mentioned, that came up. So I managed to get that one. And this is the only one that I've done this with. So I got the original Killers from Japan, and this is the promo one.
With the sticker.
And they've got all the bits with them as well.
Yeah.
Everything apart from the beach bag. I don't have the beach bag, sadly.
When you buy these things, they've all got the posters. They've all got all the
So I tend to stay away from trying to Frankenstein stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I find, number one, you end up with so many spares, and if I could show you the floor, I've just got like spares and doubles and all sorts knocking around, and
just send those to me.
Really interesting. Really interesting variations. So this is kind of the second issue, Killers from Japan, I'm holding up.
Right.
And you can tell it's the second one because it hasn't got the extras listed on the OBI.
Exactly.
And that's kind of that's where it gets really kind of nuanced and tricky in terms of, right, you think you found everything and then suddenly it throws up another OBI, or there's a variation on a label or XYZ, and you kind of go, oh, here we go again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there's always like that one that you can never find. And I know, and this is going to sicken a lot of people, I think, but there's that.
Oh shit!
See, now that
there it is
amazing, and what he's holding up is a Sesame Street.
Yeah.
He's holding up the best of Kiss,
which is clearly fake, as with many things shown on this show.
Yeah, it's clearly fake.
Now, how did you find it? Where?
So
how much?
So there's
when it was in the mail.
I can't even tell you how much I was sweating when it was in the mail. So there's and Jason will know this as well. You know, you can find like sites that are very specific for specific countries, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a auction site in Japan called Yahoo Auctions, run by
You're
Yahoo.
giving our secrets away, John. Don't
Well,
give our
come
secrets
on.
away.
End of level boss defeated.
That's right.
But it's kind of one of those things, and you find these sites and you kind of go through the time and the due diligence and the kind of the pain, and eventually things like this pop up. And it was quite funny because I remember you saying, Jason, in the group, you know, you were kind of leading the charge for half an hour, and I think one of your friends was for 15 minutes.
Yeah. What happened is, and we can just kind of, tail off of each other in this story was...
And this is recent, right? This is very
this is
recent.
maybe last month.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the last month.
Thanks for letting me know about it, Jason. I appreciate that.
This is what happened. I've already told Joe the story. My friend Criss is the my friend Criss is the one that introduced me to the Yahoo Auctions, Japanese site. And is it called Bai or Bai?
Bai, yeah.
Bai.
It's like a proxy site for people outside of Japan to
Correct.
purchase.
It makes it English so you can actually tell what's going on, because you can't translate that Yahoo Auctions page and know what the hell is going on. So you have that Bai that does it for you. And he messaged me late at night one night. It's like midnight, and he said, "Hey man, the Best of Kiss is up on the Yahoo Auctions page. I'm in for about $400. I'm hoping nobody's watching. I just got outbid. I wanted to let you know about it in case, you want to go higher." And the first thing I thought was, well, how much can I afford to put on a credit card for this thing? And if I put in a bid and I'm automatically outbid, I'm going to let Joe know about it. So what happened was...
No, the first thought was, how do I keep Joe from knowing about this?
No.
The first thing I thought.
No, listen, I swear to God, that was not it, man. I promise to God, I thought about you.
I'll never believe you on that.
How do I put in a bid, stay married, and not let Joe know?
That's right. It is very difficult. So
not necessarily in that order.
I said, and of course the hope is that nobody is watching this, because in my mind the thing is, if it's on eBay, it's going for $5,000, in my mind. So I put in a bid for $800, and I was the high bidder, and I was like, all right, well, let's just see what happens. And I stayed up for about another hour till about 1:00 in the morning, and I was still the high bidder. And I went to sleep. I knew the auction was going to end before I woke up. I think it ended at my time, probably 6 a.m. or 7 a.m.
Yeah, it was about 1:30 here in the UK.
Right. So 6 or 7 a.m., and I was asleep. And so when I woke up at probably 8:30, the first thing I did was looked at that auction, and I, of course, was outbid, and it went for what John paid for it. I don't know if he wants to talk about it, but
no, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it went. What was it? A little less than $2,500 or something?
Yeah, I think it was $2,200 in all in dollars,
which is a steal for that record. And John's the one that ended up, luckily getting it. And I know that Joe would have paid that much for it because he chases those things out. But what was I supposed to do? Stay up all night? And when the auction, I don't know when I got outbid. Did I get outbid at? Yes.
It was weird
at 2:00 in the morning, or did I get outbid at the last second? I just don't know.
It doesn't matter. You stay up all night.
Yeah, you were still out there. No, you'll notice, Jason, it's kind of the weird thing about Japanese auctions is, unlike eBay, where when it ends, it ends. That's it, done. With the Japanese auctions, if someone puts a bid in at the end, within the last 5 minutes, it adds another 5 minutes to the actual auction time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's more like a real live auction. Where is there any other bidders? Is there anybody else? Anybody, sort of thing.
Right.
But it's kind of fucked up because I put the $2,200 bid on. I think I was the highest bidder for about 9 minutes, but it was the right 9 minutes kind of thing.
Right.
But I put that bid on, and the guys can bid underbid you, but it then extends the time again and again and again.
Oh.
Interesting.
Literally shaking, looking at it, and every 5 minutes it goes 10 minutes. Then it goes down, 6 minutes.
Wow.
And you're just there, and then eventually the incremental things got less and less, and then I got it, and I have to give props to my other half. She actually sanctioned this purchase. So I had permission. I let her know.
This is the rarest fucking thing in the world.
Yeah.
You have to
I had
let
to
me
take
buy
her
it.
through the Japan book, the Bible, hold up the page where it's number 1. You cannot find this anywhere.
Baby, you gotta sit down.
Yeah. It's an investment. Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
How this will make our life so much better.
Yeah. Exactly. Holy cow.
So I did that and got it, and the horror of the week and a half to get it in my hand, and this is the first time it's ever happened to me. It was held in customs in Japan.
Oh no.
On the way out for 3.5 days.
Oh.
And I kept looking at it going, why is it still there? Why is it still there? And it was like, oh God, it's not coming. And I was just like, when you just go, ugh. Well, and then it arrived, and it was like, I can't even explain.
If I would have won it, at first I would have thought, okay, this isn't real. I would have thought, I'm going to have to let the credit card company or PayPal know that this is not, at some point right along the transaction, I would have thought, well, this isn't ever going to go through. Because sometimes, you see that stuff, and if somebody knows what they have, and it hits, let's say, $1,000, but it should be going for 4 or 5 or who knows what, they'll pull it. And then that's not, it just won't show up, and, that kind of stuff has happened to all of us many times,
Yeah, but again, I think that's maybe part and parcel of the culture in Japan of honor, and, everything you get is beautifully, to the point. I had a dink from a record coming from Japan, ever. Not once.
Yeah, they're always in great shape. However, a quick story, I might have told this on the show. There's a guy in New York who I've dealt with for years on Japanese stuff, and I think his wife or significant other is Japanese, and they go back and forth quite often and pick up a lot of Japanese records.
Does he have a record store?
He does.
Is it called Record Runner? Is his name John?
I can neither confirm nor deny that
I
that's
know
the
exactly
store.
Who you're talking
Jason,
about.
we're blowing all the secrets now. God.
Can I just write that down?
Joe, your poker face sucks. You should know that now. That was terrible.
Should I edit this out?
Edit all that out. Anyway, so as I would go to New York, I lived there for a long time, and then when I go back and visit him all the time because he always had the Japanese gems. But what he's told me now is that it's getting harder to find Japanese vinyl, period, and now it's missing inserts, it's missing posters, and even the condition. He's even shocked that the condition is now declining on Japanese vinyl over time.
What Alan Belisha has been telling me in the past year is that the record stores over there are hip to it, and even when you go to Japan and go to a shop, the price is through the roof on everything, but definitely on the KISS stuff. So you can't even go there and get a deal on it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think you're going to fill gaps and not a lot else, aren't you?
Right.
At that point.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why my stuff, I don't have the posters, because I didn't want to be a stickler for that. I wanted a copy of the vinyl. The vinyl's good. It's got the OB. They were the only things, I like to have the lyrics with them, but I let go on the posters because it saved so much money.
It did, but you can get the Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over, and
Double Platinum are very easy to find.
Fairly easily, because those posters are folded and slide in the record, and, you know, I wouldn't say fairly easily, but it's going to add a couple of $200 or $300 relatively speaking.
Yes,
but when you go after, right, when you go after Love Gun, you know, and those, it's unbelievable. I mean, you're going to pay hundreds and hundreds, if not $1,000 for a mint copy of that poster.
I think I saw an absolutely beat up Love Gun one go recently for about $150.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
Which I was in for about $100, and I went, it's knackered. I can't justify.
Yeah, I got my Love Gun one. It's rather beat up, but Criss, my friend Criss, that introduced me to the Yahoo auctions, he's the one that turned me on to that and actually won that for me, and I was able to pay him for that. So so I have a lesser copy of it, but I do have a copy of it. But the other posters, when you get into Creatures, the Creatures promo poster, and some of them are just Lick It Up. I guess you can find sometimes.
The Lick It Up one every now and again. I've actually got, I can't remember who I was telling this story to, but the Asylum one.
Yes.
I got that, and that was just tucked away unbeknownst when I opened it up, and there it was in the actual sleeve. It wasn't even part of the deal. So that was really good.
Yeah. So some of them are damn near impossible to find and very expensive. So, you know. So you have no desire, Dave, to go after any of those posters at all?
No, particularly.
No. I mean, he doesn't have the financial desire. No, he has the mental desire.
Nor do I.
How many areas have you got in the background there that you could sell?
There was one. I bought one copy and a partial set. I only got the two.
The rest are just things he made.
Yeah. There's one real one, two real ones and the other ones.
That's green. That's just green screen.
And all of that is going into storage. So the collecting is done for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Dave is out of here.
Yeah.
I'll send you my address. We can store it here. I've got room.
Awesome. And I'm going in the will.
Yeah, and you're in the will as my mate Dave from Facebook anyway.
I would store that stuff for you for free, Dave, if you want to.
I would not.
Joe would buy a copy of Best of Kiss with it.
That's right. That's right.
I would not.
Every month I'm going to crack one of those boxes open and go, that one's mine. And then the next month, like, that's payment, right? That's the storage facility fee. Yeah.
I come back, I wouldn't have 500 records anymore. I'd have 5.
5 records.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, John, is there one piece that's elusive to you that keeps you up at night that you're dying to have? That's just.
It's behind you, Joe. It's on that shelf.
That's what. Yeah, that's one of. There isn't one in particular. There's, say, 1, 2.
Name them all.
Yeah, just name them all.
So
which ones are they?
The double platinum that Joe's got behind him.
I'll trade you for Best of Kiss. Keep going.
Ooh, I've not even seen that one. I've not even seen anywhere yet.
I don't know if that's actually an even trade. What do you think? Let's discuss. Is that an even trade?
Oh yeah.
What I would say is I've seen more of them around, but I've never seen one kind of come across my path when I've got access to the credit card. So there's that. There's a.
Is your credit card under one of those systems where you have to turn the key at the same time?
Yeah. It's like a double signature.
Right. It's like launching a nuke from a submarine.
Yeah. So I've got the first 2 numbers of the PIN code. She's got the last.
Are you ready, Captain?
Yeah. Let's go. So there's that. There's the debut album, the promo of that one, which I know Mr. Scott has.
Oh, Jason's is fully signed.
We all have that.
Yeah, I have that as well.
Yeah, so
you should be able to track that down for a relatively.
I will trade you that for Best of Kiss.
Joe would trade you my copy for Best of Kiss.
That's right.
They hashed up.
We missed all that. Start over
again. Straight Jacket Dynasty. That one came up recently, and I was looking at it, and I couldn't believe. I know the guy on eBay didn't know what he had quite clearly.
Yep.
But yeah, I was shocked it went for as much as it went for.
Can you imagine the look on that guy's face who put up what he thought was a common copy of Dynasty, and he's like, "Why the fuck is this $628?
What's happened there?"
I as a seller, I'd be going, "What the fuck am I missing? I need to pull this down and figure out what I'm missing."
Yeah,
you know?
do I sell it for more? Yeah.
Right.
And then the only other one is a random one is the Creatures picture disc with the glow in the dark eyes.
With the glow in the dark
eyes.
Oh,
the glow in the dark eyes.
Yeah,
good luck.
And it's just like that. And I don't know why. You know,
that was a promo release, wasn't it? That was never.
I think it was a prototype.
I think it was a prototype, is what I've heard. I don't even know a whole lot about it. You know,
Jason, have you laid eyes on it? Have you seen a physical?
I've never seen it. I've spoken to one guy, and I can't remember who said he'd got it, or an acquaintance had, but he wouldn't even sell it if I gave him a liver or a kidney. So
Dave Scott's kidney or liver?
Yeah, obviously it's one of mine.
Any kidney or liver. He wasn't that fussy, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are kind of
the
things.
Is that something we should ask the group? Has anyone actually seen that?
Sure, if you want to post
that. I'm not imagining anybody's got a couple of spare copies, but
because it's weird. Because I asked I'm holding up that one again, the Best of Kiss. I asked about that, and I was told there's like 2, 3, 4 maybe confirmed copies, and that's about it floating around.
Pretty sure that Olav Ken has one. I had the other guy in my head.
Perstrid, is it?
Perstrid has a copy, and he has a copy. Found a copy on cassette.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievably rare.
Wow.
The only known copy I've ever heard of.
I've never.
Didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
And he has a copy of it on cassette. So, but yeah, there's a few confirmed copies, and you're one of the lucky ones, man. One of the few. Yeah. So. It's a hell of a piece. What about I see that you've got the Japanese originals box just over your head. Do you have any desire to go after the red box?
I saw one, and I think from a completeness point of view, that's yes, but not for the prices it goes for.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other one is when the solo albums were released in Japan, if you bought all 4 of them, they came in like a sleeve box.
I have that box.
Yeah, Jason.
Joe,
I do not have that box.
As well.
I don't have the picture discs either. So yeah, that's one that I haven't started on.
I wanted to buy I almost bought a second box from somebody that was selling it separately to put the picture discs in, just to have both of them in, because the box was given like a lot of the premiums in Japan. It wasn't always necessarily that they would have the premium up there, and you didn't necessarily have to buy that specific record that the premium was out for. You could buy any Kiss records in some cases, and they would still give you the premium. So.
Yeah, so that's kind of worked with the I've heard that works with the autograph sheets.
Right.
The kind of the square ones. They came. I got mine with a Destroyer.
Right.
So then everyone else's swears blind. It came with originals. Then you've got the pre-order sticker as well, which, from what I understand, was just a general Kiss album sticker, not locked into originals or 2 or whatever.
Yeah, any certain release. Yeah.
So outside of Japanese releases, I mean, what's your collection like outside of domestic U.S. stuff and Japanese? Are you really?
I was going to say, what UK stuff do you have?
Right.
Because we know that. Obviously all the Reds were unique to the UK, but then the repressings of Double Platinum.
I've got a couple of the old Reds, and also at the same time, I think I've got Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun, and Dress to Kill.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something I've kind of specifically followed, but I've been looking, I think after we started speaking, Dave, actually, for all the old Pi releases. Because they're on this really kind of unique Choir X vinyl. So, the stuff you're holding on.
It's that, people claim it's translucent. Yeah, but you're seeing,
kind of goes translucent and brown. You have to put it right up to a light to do it, and it kind of goes a red, glowy brown colour. It's really nice. So I've tried going through them, trying to think what else is. And then I suppose I've fallen into that really bad stage of collecting now, which is the high-end part of it.
Mm-hmm.
where you kind of
have you met our friend Joe?
Yeah, hi, my name's
our
Joe.
friend Joe. That's what he. Yeah,
I've got a horrible.
You know what I
problem.
mean? You hit this wall, don't you? Of okay, that's another copy of that. That's another copy of that. I want something a bit different. So you then go through and you get. I think most people have seen or got a copy of the Argentinian Hotter Than Hell.
Yeah, the Argentinian Hotter Than Hell. Yeah,
with the crazy messed up solo posters cover.
Yeah,
and that's an official release, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
But the picture disc version of that is the counterfeit.
That is a counterfeit, correct?
Yeah. In the same way that any picture disc from Japan that isn't the 4 that we looked at, from what I understand, is a counterfeit. So you've got the
100% correct.
All the 10 inches are just like there's a couple of 7 inches doing the rounds at the moment. Yep. I think it's Rock and Roll Over,
Destroyer, and Destroyer, 7 inches. Yeah.
And on the back, it shows you all the kind of 7-inch releases.
Yep.
Then I got that one, which was quite nice to find.
Gotta love
the
that.
Turkish Kiss.
Which is technically, I'm doing the counterfeit. This is. We know that this is counterfeit, but it was the only way to get it within Turkey, right?
Yeah,
that is absolutely a counterfeit release of the time period. And the reason it's counterfeit is the same reason why most Russian releases are considered counterfeits, because they don't recognize intellectual property.
So they don't track back the royalties.
So there's no royalties paid out for those records. They didn't have permission to release those albums, but the companies released them and put them in stores, and so they're technically counterfeits. Not counterfeits how we view them today, where somebody's making some company's making a counterfeit picture disc of the Hotter Than Hell that's modern. That was of the time where you've got countries that are communist or all sorts of different reasons where they don't recognize intellectual copyright law. So let's try to wrap everything up, John, and just show us a few other things that you got in your collection that are interesting. And
I think one thing I did find, and this is Dave's fault for putting me onto this, is the Australians, all the stuff from kind of Southern Hemisphere is quite interesting in terms of like the way they package up. So this will probably give you a burst of nostalgia. That's like the Best of Kiss, but I kind of like the fact it had the stickers with it.
That's the best of solos from Australia.
3 different types of those as well.
And then that one, the singled one, which is amazing. It's got some crazy stuff on it. It's got like Ben She Kissed Me on it, and you look at it and you think that's like a kind of a really weird. It should be a counterfeit, but I don't believe it is.
It's kind of like K-Tel was.
A K-Tel compilation.
Like a Ronco one, isn't it?
Yeah. Compilation from Australia. Cool piece.
And I suppose the only other ones, and these are kind of recently, I've got, and I don't know what your guys' guilty pleasure is in the kind of discography of Kiss.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a guilty pleasure. I love them all.
No, well,
I don't like any of the records.
So mine's Unmasked.
That's Jason's
really
as well.
I really like it, but I don't know why, and I know I shouldn't. So I've started going for, and again, you'll identify with this. So this is the green Mexican one.
Love it.
And I'm just trying to go through, so I need to find the red one and the yellow splatter, because this is the translucent one.
Those are great. Those are tough. Yeah.
So these guys don't look after their records as well as the guys in Japan do.
And the materials they're made out of is less.
It's really flimsy.
And the environment and all of it. Yeah, just the heat and humidity.
They really wobble. But again, it's kind of, I suppose it's that curse of the high end side of things now. You start to a find.
Right. So, full disclosure, Unmasked is my second favorite album in the catalog. So.
Well,
behind Creatures.
That's a good choice.
We needed to know that.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Whatever record Danny Dabbs was on was his first favorite record.
Hey, you bastard. All right, so we're going to wrap it up now and want to thank John for joining us all the way over from the UK and showing us cool stuff, showing us his cool vinyl collection. And so, show us some of your favorite vinyl in the comments. If
anybody has seen or has touched or licked a copy of Creatures of the Night with the glowing eyes, we'd love to know.
Or the Best of Kiss. Where are those copies? Who's got them?
That's right.
We know that they're out there. There are minimal copies out there, but yeah, anybody else?
Yeah. And John is frozen on us. So, gentlemen,
can we all do that pose?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, John, for showing your great collection. The stuff is amazing. We're all envious. Just amazing stuff. And make sure you turn that key at the same time often because we want to see
so
more.
He's allowed.
That's
so he's allowed to buy.
So he's allowed to to show more cool stuff on the show the next time. So yeah, we were glad to have him on. He's super cool. Great collection, and thanks for taking your time to hang out with us. Amazing.
Yeah. I think he'll be. I talked to him, after we recorded that part of the episode. I think we'll definitely have him back on in the new year sometime to show some more stuff, because he's definitely got a lot of stuff. We just can't spend 2 or 3 hours on an episode showing stuff. But he's a great guy, and he's really close with Dave. So we'll definitely have everybody back on and have a chat with him. So.
And we had talked about too talking maybe about the British stuff, right, Dave? About maybe covering off on some of the UK.
That'd be good. We should try and see whether we can get, if there's enough people want to know more about that. It seems like the British market has quite a lot of interesting pieces within it. There are demo records. It was issued on most records were on the different colored labels. There's the UK solo singles that came out on the colored vinyl, and there's obviously the red vinyl that came out
from Pi.
That was the first 8 records. So I mean, that's something that we should probably cover off in a little more depth, just from that pure collector's point of view.
For sure.
Yeah, it's been kind of overlooked. We talked about that earlier, that maybe that part of the market has been overlooked a little bit, and maybe something that we could focus on a little bit. But, we always talk about the South American stuff. We talk about, all these elite pieces, from Japan and just all other places in the world.
Right.
For some reason, the UK gets overlooked as it were. So.
Yeah, we definitely need to spend a little more time on focusing on country-specific releases instead of just, when we talk about a particular record, Rock and Roll Over, and we talk about all the U.S. variants, and then we talk about all of the more known pieces. We need to kind of, do some country-specific, have some people on that are from those countries even that collect would be great. So.
Well, then that extends the knowledge base, and like if we're talking about me just wanting to get Elder, you were saying earlier on, you just want to get the French red labels. That's a whole journey in itself.
Yep,
just to
absolutely.
get from one country.
And it always goes back to us talking about how wide and varied the collecting approach is for different people, right? Are you going via country? Are you going via label? Are you going via title? Are you going time period? It's just interesting to see the different ways that different people collect. So to try and open up those doors and broaden our horizons with the different ways that people collect can be a cool thing on the show, I think.
Yep, I agree totally.
And that's just it. It's through the other guys in the group that I have built my collection. When I came here, 3.5 years ago, my collection was nothing like it is now. So
that's awesome.
It's a neat little community to be part of.
That's the whole reason why we started the group, was to, for it to be a friendly, inviting place for people to share and meet and communicate and buy and sell and trade and not be ridiculed. That's the most important thing. Not be ridiculed for how they collect, what they spend, how much they spend, how little they spend,
how much something costs when it comes out, all that stuff, right?
There's no reason to ridicule people. I mean, if it's not your thing, just move on. And that's how we run the groups. That's why the groups were started. And I'm glad.
And now I'm learning to be the casual observer while I sit there and go, I would have bought that.
Yeah.
You'll be back, man.
That happens to everyone, doesn't it? You set your price point. My price point currently is 0, but you set your price point and you go, yeah, I want that. I can afford that. And that also dictates some of your collecting.
What do you think you can get with 0 as your price point?
Joe's hat.
Oh, perfect.
It's not true.
Not true.
Well, this is a $1,000 hat. $1,000.
He's got the eBay option to prove it.
Yeah. Worn on the Kiss My Collectibles. Yeah. Come and get it, kids.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again to John for joining us. Dave, thanks for sitting in on our vinyl podcast. We love it.
It's a pressure.
We got another one coming up, so everybody stay tuned for that. It'll be this is the next to the last. We'll do the last episode. It'll be vinyl related, something that'll be pretty cool, and Dave will be a part of that with us. And then when we start the new year, Nicholas will be back.
And so will
do
Dave.
Some collectibles. Oh yeah, Dave will be back.
Yeah.
Dave will be back. Dave sits in and does our vinyl because Nicholas doesn't collect vinyl. So,
yeah. Much to my chagrin, Dave will be back.
Although I think we've started to convert him a little bit. Yeah, he's bought a record player. He bought a storage unit, and he's got all of the 2014s. I helped him get a bunch of those, and he's bought a bunch of Queen records. So, who knows?
It's so
he's
funny.
got a 2014 double platinum, which is really impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny with the way he collects. He's in big trouble.
Like, yeah, he is, and he keeps saying, "Oh no, I just want one of each, one of each."
Yeah, all I need to do is get the $600 record, and then I'm done.
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, that's the way I started.
See.
That's the way we all started. Good luck.
It is. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, gangs. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not. This is Kiss My Collectibles podcast. Don't you know
that? Would you be a peach and fuck off, Dave? Whoa.
Did he just
Jason,
freeze like that?
Jason, you just yeah, for me. Am I still good, Dave?
Yeah, you're working. Jason's not. Jason's doing that.
There's the ending. That's the that's the bumper.
Yeah,
now we get to make. Yeah.
You fucked. It's not working. I don't know if you can hear us. We can't hear you anymore, and you are freezing out.
Yes, you.